Hello, cool cats and kittens. Welcome to Hangoutlander. Guys, the Outlander season is almost over. This is season 5. If you're just joining us, this is episode 11. There's only one episode left of season 5. And so you have a lot of Hangoutlander to go back and watch. But tonight is going to be quite the discussion. There is so much to talk about. We're so glad that you guys are with us. Hello to Amy and Sheila and Brett and Jeanette and Courtney, Lily Mack, Lachey. Is everybody here tonight? Dawn, guys, we're very happy to have you. Hi, I'm Beth. I'm the host of Hangoutlander. If you've been with us for any length of time, you know that there have been something like 68 episodes of Hangoutlander and of Outlander, and we have talked about all of them either at our former home, That's Normal, or right here at the cool table, which is what we are. Everyone, say hello to my friends, Julie and Karen, who's not paying attention.
Hi. All yours. Always.
Hi. Happy May the 4th, everybody.
May the 4th be with you.
That's something in some other fandom, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know which one.
It's a tiny little fandom. Really small.
I get references. I got it somewhere.
Like these art house films.
Right. Nobody ever sees them. Ever.
Very obscure.
Very obscure pop culture reference.
Yes. We're so glad that you guys are here. I tried to do something a little different tonight, and I asked you guys to send us questions about 511. We will get to those. If you have something that you want us to talk about, tweet us instead of talking to us in the chat. Like if you have a real question, like send me a tweet so I can look at the tweets outside of this chat. This chat is a separate thing. It's what's going on right now, but we love the chat. So if you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, please continue to talk to us. But 511, guys, we're talking about a Diana Gabaldon opus. I mean, the woman has written all of these books and has done all of this stuff that has caused us all to be here in this moment right now. And yet, this episode, magnum opus, Diana Gabaldon, it was so good.
So good.
So good.
So
Let's
good.
Give her a round of applause.
So good. It's almost like she wrote the books. Oh, wait. She did.
Oh,
So good.
She needs to write
literally
more.
Just finished it. That's why
Yes.
we were late, because I was watching it and I could not tear my eyes away. It was so good.
Karen literally just turned it off as soon as we went live.
Right.
Sorry, guys. I've been busy working since like 4:20 this morning and lost track of time.
He has a life, unlike me. I was just sitting around.
Alicia Butler said it was a master class in what Outlander should be. I agree.
Completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, and I know that you guys don't go to atthecooltable.com and read my recaps every week, but in my recap, I basically said, okay, yeah, you might, you don't. But anyway, the recap says it is 100% about character. That's how she makes that bridge. Because of course, Diana's not there to break the episodes. If they say, hey, do you want to write an episode? She's like, yeah, I'd love to write one. When can I schedule that in? And I'm sure that they have to think of it that way, but also they want to give her a good one. And I'm sure she looks at it like, where can I make the most, impact? And the way that she makes the most impact is bridging character. And so we went from having Stephen Bonnet be the big arc for much of this season and that ending last week to having to bridge to this totally new thing. And to do that, you really had to focus on who the characters were. And she just does that super well because, of course, she created them. They are her, like she likes to say.
Yes.
Dawn just said, don't Meryl and Matt see the difference?
Here's my thing.
I mean, we're all
as long as Stars and Sony are giving them episodes.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute because I may not be anymore. But
right.
I don't think that they do. And the reason for that is they always tend to be appreciative that Diana wrote an episode, but they don't seem to really be as rapturous about it as we are.
No, in fact, I don't even know if a Stars is, because if I was, I would think that you'd be advertising this as the Diana Gabaldon episode, the author episode.
Yeah.
Really pushing that, especially on social media, on promotions, everything. This is the episode. If you have not been watching, this is the episode to watch.
Yeah, Jennifer just said, I didn't watch last night, but I'm here tonight just for a bit because last week you said you can sit with us. I love you, ladies. You can sit with us. Yay!
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that there's like a disconnect between what they think is good writing.
Right.
Like they really like the Roger episode with the one that we all hated with the silent movie thing going on, and what people who really like the books and stuff really care about. And that tends to be this kind of stuff, the very small moments that show that there are, those are the characters that we come to love and want to see on the screen.
Right.
Sarah just said somebody needs to, oops, wrong one. Somebody should tell Matt that we don't need to watch this episode twice to appreciate it properly.
No, ouch! Yes!
Solid burn, Sarah J.
Stephanie P just put, there was a lot of filming thoughts moment in this episode.
Yes, there was.
Yes.
So
it is possible.
It is definitely possible.
Lachey said they don't seem to value her input either. We were just talking about just a minute ago, we're watching Normal People on Hulu, which if you haven't watched, you have to watch. So good. And Sarah Rooney, the author of Normal People, was either directly wrote every episode of that or was directly involved in the writing of every single episode. And that shows, I mean, I haven't read the book, but for, all intents and purposes, it looks like it's a direct adaptation of that novel. And the show is absolutely beautiful. So there's a huge amount of weight given to authors who understand their characters and know where things need to be. And of course, Diana's been irritated with stuff all season.
Right.
She's rightfully known when they've made huge mistakes in the past and now.
Right.
And why don't they listen to her more often? Even the very beginning. Why do I keep doing that? Sorry. What did she say last week about something that was irritating her? Now I can't remember what it was. But anyway, let's just
lost in all of your own irritation.
Right. Just here's the deal. Diana is not afraid to share her thoughts, share her opinions when the writers miss a mark, when the show misses a mark. And I think this is just my theory. I'm not saying it's true either way. I think that could rub some people the wrong way because there's nothing blocking her. There's nothing that's holding her back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Molly just said it makes a huge difference. Let's look at Discovery of Witches, which is one of my favorite adaptations. So different from the book in a lot of ways, but so good. It's just a good adaptation. It's not word for word, scene for scene, but it's still really, really great.
I think when you involve the writer heavily and you incorporate them into the creative process, because it's because of them that this world exists, I think amazing things like this episode can happen.
Yeah. So Mary Lou go ahead, Karen.
I think that having just freshly processed, actually not even processed, I will be processing it live with all of my besties here on air. The two or three things that kind of struck me about the episode is it was 100% all the time ridge shit, which we all love. They never left the ridge. It was ridge shit, even though it was Southern Living 101 and, we all hate the big house. Okay, park that for a second. It was all ridge shit. Thumbs up on that. Sam was Jamie. Like the essence of that character. Deep voice, man of few words, loves his wife, loves the land. Perfect. Sam was perfection. He was written perfectly this week. He was acted perfectly this week. And for the first time in 3 years, Roger wasn't a peevish a-hole.
Right. Yeah, I loved him at the beginning with the girl.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. Really quick, since you mentioned ridge shit, I do want to announce something that we're doing this week that's a little different. We have a giveaway going on tonight, and we'll have another one next week. KSW Design Studio, who is one of our watchers. I can't speak tonight. I've had too much.
Okay.
Kara, she's one of our, Kara Watkins. She got a great Etsy store where she does all of this cute Outlander stuff, and she's giving away a ridge shit mug tonight. So I don't know if you guys can see this.
It's adorable.
But there it is. You can win this tonight. Just continue to talk to us.
Yeah, Kara's with
And
us on the
say-
comments right now.
yeah,
So
she's
say
nice.
hello to her. And Kara, if you can maybe, I don't know if you can link your Etsy page into the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments.
That would
And,
be great because
you win a
you
little
do amazing work.
win your own little Ridge shit mug thanks to Kara. And she also wants me to tell you that Hangoutlanders are welcome to use Friends15 for 15% off anything in her Etsy shop. So thank you, Kara.
Thank you,
We're
Kara.
excited. We'll have another giveaway with Kara next week. So guys, let's talk about the opening of this episode. I loved the way that this episode opened, one, because it's straight out of the novel, but also there is this moment where I think Roger really comes through really well. Jamie's coming through really, really well. And it's just such an Outlander moment for them to find this menacing thing, and yet it just continued to move them through their day, but give them character moments that matter for later on.
Yeah.
So well done.
It was, and it wasn't in your Roger trying to up Jamie or be like, I'm the man of the situation. It wasn't in your face. It was this natural progression of, here's a situation, I'm taking care of this situation, and Jamie allowing him to take care of the situation, and nothing was forced. I think that's my issue. It's everything's been forced.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was beautiful. It was natural. Roger saying goodbye to the girl, Jamie saying, Jamie saying the poem, and the girl passing away. And it was it wasn't overdone.
Yeah.
It was a moment, and then it passed to the credits.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Diana had a note on that scene where she said that the way she'd written it, that there were like 5 or 6 graves that they had dug with the different crosses. And she said, I guess, props, it's just easier just to have one big mass grave, but she did want it to look like a mass killing.
Yeah.
Like obviously someone has mass murdered these people and tried to make it look like it was a fire. I did think my one note for this scene was that it looked like that arrow was barely in the guy's jacket. Like Claire pulls it out and it looks like it's not even in this much. And I'm like, I don't think it killed him. It maybe just nicked a nipple, but it did not kill him.
Or if she pulled it out and it broke out or something, I could have believed it. But
but
it was
a little
gruesome though.
I was like, their faces, everything is charred to hell, but everybody's face is visible.
Right.
Like everybody,
right. Except for that one girl
still had skin on it.
That one girl that I was, and by the way, I was eating lunch during that scene, and I went, nope.
I was doing dinner. I went,
and I went, oh, poor thing.
Roger, don't turn that over. You actually just said, here's another one, and then you put your full palm on this rotting, smoking corpse.
I know.
It over. I was like, why?
I know.
It's dead.
I know. I thought Claire would be like, hey, Roger, we don't do that.
And they're like kicking shit over, and I'm like, oh, disgusting.
Yeah. Brittany is like, the girl was horrifying AF.
She totally was horrifying.
And okay, that sounds terrible, and I'm sorry, but it is May the 4th, so I'm going to go ahead and say this. In Revenge of the Sith, that's when Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and it's on.
Yes.
It looked like looked like that.
It did look like that.
Like the face melting off in Raiders.
Yes, I went. Oh,
it looks a little Anakin-esque.
It was very Anakin-esque.
Someone asked earlier, and I had it up for a while. And it said, "What do we think that Ms. Mary Lou about the plastic at the beginning?" And then Dee replied that it was Diana righting one of the wrongs of season 3, and that's exactly the right case. I mean, I saw immediately that it was Claire's Batman outfit. That was very evident.
Yeah,
I love the plastic going away. There's just like this very satisfying thing about, again, it's a time travel show.
Right.
When you can satisfy in just a little moment, the audiences need to be a little bit tantalized by the idea that something is out of time.
Right.
You really get a little bit better impact than you do for anything else, I think.
Right.
I mean, your biggest impacts on this show are Jamie and Claire being connected and for one another, and the times when the out of time stuff becomes pertinent.
Right.
And that's just like one visual element that gives them that opportunity, and it worked really well.
Right.
Purely Amused just said, I think DG showed how effortless this show can be and feel.
I think that's
totally right.
That's the key phrase, is effortless. It doesn't have to be forced. Nothing has to be forced. Nothing has to be explained. It's there. And that's what it should be. Yeah.
I'm wistful. Wistful.
Yeah. I love the PB&J conversation that we get. Again, like they just need, Diana she made things work. Okay, so when we talk about the things that they don't do right as writers, they don't bring things back in satisfying ways. Diana opens the episode up and she's like, well, they got to be doing something and coming from somewhere, so let's make it the PB&J conversation. Oh, and let's make that the whole theme of the episode as well. And it's perfect.
Right.
Damn.
It is.
It made me want to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, I was like, man, that sounds really good.
To drink with whiskey.
We'll get to that later, but I love the fact that Jamie was
Yeah.
Yes.
So cute.
And he was honest.
Little moments. It's those little
This is
moments.
terrible. Jamie had the same reaction to every fifth grader that has had a soggy ass PB&J with an orange stain on it because it's at the bottom of the freaking lunch bag.
Right.
5 years of grade school where you're just kind of like, I guess.
Yeah. But I just loved it.
I live that reaction.
But it's those little moments. And once again, effortless, not forced upon you.
Like Purely Amused just said, their idea of full circle is the Moby Dick shit that no one cares about and has nothing to do with Outlander. 100%.
I don't care about that.
That didn't make any sense. That was like shoehorned in and it felt really awkward and it didn't work.
The fact that I care more about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich more than the Moby Dick references.
Yeah.
But once again, testament to Diana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't praise her this whole episode, guys. This is not how I'm built. I can't do it.
There's a couple of things. There's just a couple of, nothing can ever be perfect. Not even herself.
I mean, it just hurts my soul just a little bit. So I'm going to go to some of the Twitter questions and see what people have asked us to talk about. So Catherine Lowe asked us on Twitter, is David Barry really gone for good? So there is a big Twitter controversy going on right now that this was Lord John's last episode of the show. He said so on some of the comments on his Instagram because he was like saying goodbye to Lord John, and somebody asked, surely he's not gone? And he was like, yeah, it's my last episode of the show. And do you guys think that this is a proper send-off for Lord John? Do you think that they have no reason to bring him back?
For one, I'm speechless. I had not heard that. I had not read that on Insta. First of all, Dave Barry is one of the loveliest characters and portrayals of this entire series. He is effortless in every shittily written scene that he's in. He makes it look so easy and he's so endearing. He's just a lovely guy and a character that I actually didn't really like very much.
Yeah.
I love him. I love everything about him. He just hits every note perfectly. He plays a significant role 2 books from now. A significant role.
Right.
Yeah, Brittany just said he's not really in it until Echo.
Well, correct. I don't know that he's in A Breath of Stone Ashes at all.
But they can start combining. And that's what they're doing.
But he's huge in Written My Own Heart's Blood. Huge.
So,
but again, I mean, that could be 5 years from now. So who knows if the show's going to be on then.
Shan just says, if he's gone, they are definitely not thinking past book 7.
Well, it ties in with another theory, which is the other theory is that they're not moving past season 6, that there will not be a show past season 6. So this is one of the bigger questions that have been coming up. And people have been speculating about this for more than a year. We talked about it last year when 5 and 6 were first announced being the ones that were renewed. We're like, well, do we think 5 and 6 will be the last? And at the time, you really thought 5 would be just the Fiery Cross and 6 would be A Breath of Snow and Ashes. Moving up some of the bigger-ish storylines from A Breath of Snow and Ashes into this one makes me think that they could be jam-packing some of 6 and 7 into next season to make it the last season. What do you guys think about that? And do you think that how would they wrap it up if that's the case?
Well,
I haven't read book 6 and 7, so I don't know. Is it enough for it to end a series on those 2 books? Karen, you've read ahead.
Yeah, I think it would be I mean, they can do anything because they've made decisions for the last 5 years to make some of the dumbest ass leaps ever. So they obviously have the ability to do whatever they want, but I suppose if they took the future out, they could do away with all of Echo. Although there's great storylines in there. But is it germane to sort of the Claire Jamie story? Not really. Okay. But Written in My Own Heart's Blood is really goes back to the essence of them as a character. And yes, there are a few themes with Willie and other stuff, stories running in parallel, but Written would be really, I think, tough to condense into one season, and jam-packing Echo and Written into one season, I think would be really hard. But maybe they're just going to only go to the lead up to the war.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
For what I've been spoiled for 6 and 7, and again, I can't really do a good, guess as to what's happening because I haven't read those books. I've been spoiled for the major events in them. So in my mind, based on what they did this week and not what we know that they're going to do in the finale, they're trying to get rid of Lord John. They've already gotten rid of Ulysses. They're going to do Bree and Roger. I think we'll talk about that in a minute in some sort of future, but they're not doing Mandy, which is the reason that they went back to the Stones. So I think that we're going to get Willie at some point in season 6. I don't know what the story is moving forward, but they certainly talked about him a lot, and they don't really care to do that unless it matters. So,
and are they going to be changing the storyline for Bree and Roger? Because both of their faces, and we can talk about this later, but both of their faces look like they saw something they were shocked about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah,
because I want to stick with what we think might happen. I don't think they're bringing Lord John back, and I think that was a decision they just chose to make for whatever reason, because they don't want to do the Claire and Lord John storyline. I think that it'll be some of the other big moments in 6 and 7, and just the ramp up to the Revolutionary War, but not show us the Revolutionary War. So that's it.
In the comments, people are saying Katrina was asked about Mandy or Amanda, and she replied that we need to be patient.
Okay. What?
So who knows? Maybe she was pregnant on her way back. Who knows? I actually, no joke, at one point she was standing there and Claire was watching her, and I was like, I thought with how her outfit fell, I was like, are they trying to show she's pregnant, or because it was just how her belt was cinched and how it puffed out. And at first I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh.
Well, I mean,
the only person who gets pregnant in this show is Marsley, who's been pregnant literally 82 times in the last 4 weeks with different children. So, I mean, girl is fertile. Yeah.
Bree does hint, I guess, that she's pregnant while speaking with Lord John on the steps. I don't think that they can't say that she's pregnant. I guess we can talk about this now. Bree and Roger, throughout this episode, as soon as Jimmy grasps onto that rock, discuss, we can travel back now. Claire and Jamie have this conversation. He's like, do you think they'll go? And she's like, oh, well, Bree promised Roger, which is the worst reason to go back. There's no more imminent threat because Bonnet is dead. Even like the imminent threats that they live with, like the burned out cabin and the people that were murdered, don't figure into their reasoning to leave. Like they don't actually have a conversation about that type of threat being a threat to their family when they're talking about leaving. And then for them to go, they even have a conversation about how they don't have any family. They have nobody to pull them back to the future, which is one of the things that you need to be able to travel, is somebody pulling you.
That's true.
So there's no real impetus for them to go. And it's kind of the only thing that about this episode that Diana wrote that I'm super surprised she didn't deal with.
Right.
It wouldn't have been that hard. Now, granted, they may be doing Mandy, but it wouldn't have been that hard to give Jimmy some sort of congenital issue that Claire finds that makes them need to go back.
Or even have Bree and Roger talk about, Bree has been raped. She's been kidnapped. Roger has been kidnapped. He has been, he has almost died. Even talking about that and being like, I don't know how much more I can take of living in this time.
Yeah.
Having that conversation, I would have been fine with that.
It would have helped.
It would have helped. I just felt like it was almost like they were deciding on paint colors for their house. You want to go, that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like the need, like the desire to go back was there, especially from Bree. For me, it felt like Bree didn't really want to go back.
Well, Diana tweeted that the time travel was not her idea.
Okay.
And I understand, obviously.
What context? I mean, the whole thing is right.
That Bree and Roger going back in this episode was not something she would have written in.
Right.
Obviously, she doesn't like to deviate from the books. But also, I understand that they've broken the episodes and they need certain things to happen. And she has to fight to those certain things. And that's where she excels, right?
Absolutely.
But it is possible for her to have written a more believable reason for them to go other than Claire promised Bree and now Jimmy can do it.
Right.
That's not enough.
Yeah,
right.
Great.
And all it took was just a quick, let's talk about going back. Now that we know he can go back, and kind of have like a little bit of a debate about give it some meat.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that the sort of part of the fights in the Discord that Bree and Roger had in the start of the season? Mm-hmm. She kept pushing it off because he was clearly miserable.
Right.
The original plan had been that they were going to go back, but now she's becoming grounded. She's realizing that her place is actually there. She's happier there.
Right.
And the excuse had always been, Jemmy can't travel, Jemmy can't travel, Jemmy can't travel. Now she's been through this experience where Roger is nearly killed. He survives. He's coming into his own. They are coming into their own as a couple, but I think it really is more from lack of fighting and more sort of like, yeah, okay, we'll deal with that later. I think her hand was kind of called at that point, and he didn't ask.
No.
Announced.
He told him, we're going.
I think part of her sadness and her grief is that she's resigned to it. She doesn't have an argument after all the years of arguing, we can't go because of Jemmy. Well, he can go. So even just a conversation with Claire about that, I think would have bridged just that little gap. I mean, Bree's heartbroken.
Right.
She's leaving her dad. The dad, she lost.
And even Roger's like, they can't go with us because then she won't be able to go. Well, then she needs to stay.
Right.
And I was like, did Bree actually ask you to do that? Or is that a little something you made up for Ian? I literally thought that. I was like,
I would have preferred if Bree had asked that of Ian. Like, if I go, if my parents come with me, I'm not going. Or, something like that. But I just felt
a throwback to season 3, where Claire goes to the Stones without telling Bree. Remember? Mm-hmm. And Bree figures it out and rushes up there. So Claire is like, I can't have her there or I won't go.
Right.
Yeah. So that it was a little parallel there, but that should have been Bree's decision. And it felt like Roger was making the decision without her.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the sense of she doesn't really want to do this, but she knows it's the right thing to do. So I'm going to have to make everything right.
I'm removing every barrier is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ellen said that maybe Diana wrote reasons or more discussion, but the show cut it. I think that's possible. I didn't read the script that they let out. Stephanie says, but they didn't have anyone to go back to in the books either. They went back for Mandy. My thing was, don't they need to travel at certain days of the year? Yeah, there's just like a lot where they skip over what the travel is about. And Joni says you can travel through in the spring and the fall. And then there's a time where I guess Roger travels to the wrong time, which is actually what I thought was going on when they go through the Stones and they look shocked. Jemmy looks like he recognizes what he sees. He doesn't look scared. Again, he's a kid, so they may just have to take whatever shot they could get. We don't need to put a whole lot of stock into what the 3-year-old's face looks like. But it looks to me like they're in a different time than what they expected. Right. It doesn't look like what they're expecting it to look like. Then that's all I can say.
I think they look down and see Ian.
At first, that's what I thought too. I thought they were going to be just moved somewhere else. Like in another location.
Like another side of the hill. That's at least what I'm hoping happens.
Or
I
they
have
see
no inside
Ian-
information.
Or they see young Ian before he before he goes off and he marries and he joins. Yeah. Like, oh crap. We only went back to like a year.
Alyssa just said in the script, they say that Jem sees a familiar face. So
Like
there
Ian.
you go. Well, yeah, it's totally Ian.
It's totally Ian.
Which is
Ian was
dumb. Why have a whole episode of them saying goodbye to everybody?
No.
To have them.
They don't say goodbye. They don't say goodbye to Claire. They don't
I'm
say
saying they do though. They go through, we get at Lord John and Lizzie, and they say goodbye to the bugs and all of this stuff. Like they're doing all of that.
Characters that don't matter.
Oh no, I agree. I'm saying why do any of that?
Right.
And why have them travel to the Stones? I'm just hoping it comes together next week because right now it just seems superfluous.
And that was my other issue was the goodbyes, the goodbye kind of montages that we received. Yeah, but we can talk about that later. That was my one thing. I loved Lizzie, by the way. Lizzie and Ian, they were so good.
They were great. And I think somebody made the point that I think it was Alicia, said that they were happy that there wasn't like a protracted goodbye with Brianna and Claire because it tends to fall into melodrama. And I don't disagree with that, but I still think that
I need a little bit more.
We needed more.
Especially with Diana.
Yeah, there needed to be more, but I guess it would have been difficult to write because again, there's no real good reason for them to be going. Exactly. So how can you have the two intelligent women who know about time travel and who know what's going on discuss them leaving?
Have them both be mad about that they're leaving.
Well, then that doesn't fit in with the narrative that it's the right thing for them to do, which is what they're trying to say.
My thing with Diana too, this was a Diana episode. And I understand the fear in the past of the melodrama and the overacting but we had a Diana written episode. Who has given us these amazing lines. And I think with the right script, with the right direction, and I think there was there was a lot of moments of right direction. We could have gotten a little more of a goodbye between mother and daughter.
And Mary Lou even says, C&J, Roger, big no reunion, no grandchild. At least they could give the guy a hug.
Right. Right.
They don't even talk to him.
No.
See ya. Ciao, peeps. He's out. We got our cabin back.
I know. Roger, it was like, Roger's like,
oh my God.
You got to go. They can't come with us.
Oh, man.
Very fair point, but I still love this episode.
It was a great,
man.
Really good episode.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Sorry.
Yes. I'm trying to see if we had another like really great question where I can find.
So going back, I feel like really the superstars, the MVPs of these episodes were the actors who played Lizzie. I loved Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
Ian is my number one now. John Bell. Holy, so I haven't really at all cried at all, like not teared up during this season. When he goes to the stones and he puts his hands on the stones and you just see he just wanted to go back or he wanted to try and he can't. And just that he's defeated and his whole body, that's how you film a Private Thoughts.
Sure.
And just all of that emotion he brought forth without saying thank God, no words. I loved it.
Irish _20 on Twitter just said Jem is the strongest traveler and he only knows the ridge. Bree's heart is with Jamie and Claire. So she thinks that they traveled to 1772 and they're seeing Ian. And this is to confirm that they belong at the ridge.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And also someone else just said, I've been listening to your YouTube show and let me say this. It makes me bored and sleepy. Maybe cut down the time your videos are. I'm sorry. You're bored and sleepy. We're having a conversation. There's 130 people in here talking to us. What else are we supposed to do?
First of all, I'm hilarious. Okay. I do not bore people. People bore me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My favorite comment from this entire episode was Purely Amused, who sent us a tweet earlier in the week that said, she has one question. Does Bree have a personality?
Yes.
And that's a no. You take some time and think about your answer.
No, I will not. Well, I don't really care for Bree, the character. I've always sort of been indifferent to her, but I think Sophie has been great.
No, that's not the question. Does Bree
have a personality?
Bree have a personality?
I thought she was great. She was sad. She was grieving this episode.
Yeah, with Lizzie.
Well, I mean, Lord John says it's impossible not to like you, but that's because he's in love with her dad, and he just made a direct connection that they're a lot alike.
Yeah.
But she even says, oh, so Willie has a temper too? And like, does Bree have a temper?
She's never showed a temper.
In the show?
Yes.
In the show, Karen.
Yes.
When?
Remember the scene where Jamie accuses her of being a hooer, and she freaking goes off on him, and she's like, no, you are not allowed to be mad about this. You are not allowed to be mad.
Name another example. Where she divests herself of something that isn't somebody else's request or need and just is her own.
Well, I'm sure if we had not seen, or I'm sure if we had not suffered through the black and white silent movie depiction of Roger being hanged, we would have seen her temper there, because that's what it was in the book, not in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess they have not used the fiery parts of her personality, because she does have a temper in the books.
Oh, in the book, she has she's a Spitfire.
But if Wood has a personality. Again, I think that Sophie has been great this season.
Yes,
but there isn't anything for Bree to be. I really don't know what she's like. Like, if you were to ask me what Bree's Enneagram number is, no idea.
I will say this. I think she's been really good at reacting in regards to the first episode when she overhears her father and Lord John's talk about Bonnet, and she listened in, and her face dropped. I think she did a great job there. In regards to
she can react fine.
Right.
And it feels like everything she's doing is reacting.
Right. In regards to a fiery spirit and a temper, I didn't really see it this year.
Well, you see it a lot in Echo if they do that. I mean, she really gives Roger the what for.
But even having a temper is not a personality.
Okay. And I'd like to argue with people saying, well, she showed it in season 2 when Claire first told her about Jamie in Scotland.
Ugh, she was just a brat then.
I don't think she did. I think Sophie was trying to find her character, but there was a couple of, I don't think she did as much as everyone's remembering. In the book, yes, very much so. But she since has improved.
It's just a funny question because it feels very honest. It's unfortunate.
Right.
That's true.
That's what makes it a good question, because you really have to grapple with them. Yeah, right. You have to think about that one for a minute.
And, Alicia is saying, Sophie has definitely improved in acting. The character hasn't really grown much because of the writers, she feels like. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like she has improved in her acting.
Yeah. No, Sophie's done much better than any other season this season.
Right.
And it's been great. But yeah, absolutely. There's some.
Right.
There's just not a whole lot for her to do, I don't think.
Right. But yeah.
I'm looking for a couple of other questions. I know I had a bunch of them and I lost where they are. All right.
Stop being boring, Beth.
So how about...
I am so boring. I'm so sorry. All of you are yawning and just looking out of here.
The goodbyes. Can we rate the goodbyes?
I did in my recap.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't read it yet. I literally just read it. The episode.
I've read it.
I think that Bree and Jamie's is the worst one for me.
Yes.
Because we've been talking about how little they actually interact in the season. There's no love between them. He doesn't do the fierce protective thing that he does with her in the books. And, you know, when I think about, there's just these beautiful moments from the books that we absolutely just don't get. Like when he talks himself hoarse through her birth of Jemmy and things like that. And then we finally get them having this conversation, because honestly, the wedding episode doesn't count. That was some melodramatic, just nonsense. Dr. Quinn bullshit. But the scene it's about Willie and Geneva, and it is, you know, barely about who they are to one another, and it's just so unfortunate and unfair. And they don't embrace. Nothing. They don't. There's no. It was not emotional for me to get more emotional about Lizzie.
Right.
Come on, that's pathetic.
And good in that scene now.
Even the way he's delivering the news, he's standing up, she's sitting down, he stands up, he stands for almost the entire goodbye, explaining about her brother, and hands her a picture and says, "That's your brother. His mother was, you know, we weren't in love. His father died. Here it is. Oh, he looks like you. Yeah." You know, and it was, I don't know. And then somebody pointed out in the comments too, and I thought this too. He said, "When are you leaving?" "Oh, in a week." And he looked shocked. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, nobody's told that to him?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know. How did time move so quickly? It was like, we'll leave within a month. And then suddenly it was like next week. And I was like, what?
Right.
You know, the time thing is one thing. I don't care about that. Like, I care about just get them right. And he is not her dad. He's not a dad that she feels like she can't leave. And it's really frustrating.
Right.
You know what? Just one weird thing that bothered me about that scene, and actually what bothers me about the big house, is even in the big house, the center of the house was not the surgery. It was the kitchen. They ate in the kitchen at a broke down weary table with a fireplace so big you could stand in it. They literally would go to the cauldron, hanging in the fire, and dip their bread in it, right? Bree is sitting by herself in a ginormous formal dining room.
Yeah.
Alone, because there's nothing better to do in the middle of a farm day, right?
And she doesn't have a child.
Right. I was like, this is weird. So the entrance kind of, I thought, was odd. I thought that the two of them together was great, actually. I thought Sam was really good in that scene. Although when he just kind of shoved the I was like, well, that's weird. But that's when I texted you guys that scene. I thought he was so good. He was confused. He didn't really know what to do, but he felt like he had to tell her this before she left him. Now, was it selfish or was it generous? I think that's always going to be the question about that scene, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But where it happened, why there? Why not when she's out on the front porch shucking peas or something, right?
Yeah.
The location was weird, but I loved the scene, but I thought it was in the wrong place.
Carly disagrees. She doesn't think Sam is good at acting paternal. I kind of agree with that a little bit. I haven't seen him do a whole lot of paternal stuff that I believe. But I think he was good in the scene. I just don't buy him as her dad. But I think that's the way they've been written.
Right.
And Diane just said, eating grapes. Hilarious. Where did they get grapes?
Yeah.
They have a vineyard.
I saw that and I was like, well, this is interesting.
I mean, maybe you could grow a vine of grapes like up a trellis or something, but I don't think so.
Jeanette would like to point out to everybody that the paneling on the walls in the Lord John scene is ridiculous.
I put it in my recap. I'm telling you right now, that house is too opulent. It takes you out of the scene immediately. He tells Lord John he can go upstairs to the guest room. What?
Oh, no, he finally announces, we finished upstairs. When?
Yeah.
Well, they gave us a little title card that told us it was 1772. Like we've known what year it is or what's going on the entire season. What does it matter what year it is? I thought it was 1772 anyway.
Well, yeah, and it opened with like that Mutual of Omaha, out in nature, gurgling creek, birds chirping. I was like, hey, okay, we're having a time hop.
Yes. Ridiculous.
But largely, I loved the episode.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. The house is too opulent.
I think the goodbyes, I think the house is too opulent, but the goodbyes between Lizzie was just, that girl, that just made me, what got me was she was crying with Lizzie. Like, that's where her tears.
Oh, yeah. That's the one she's the most sad about.
And I was like, oh, you just met your poor little dad. And
Okay, Diane is making a good point. We have to discuss the windowsill scene.
Please don't. Oh.
We have to talk about it.
Why not?
We can't just ignore it. It was almost exactly from the book.
But I guess in my mind, like when I read it, I loved that scene and I thought it was so sensual and amazing. And then when it's filmed, I went, oh no.
I mean, smelling your hands is, I don't think, sexy. So, I cook with garlic almost every night and onions and celery and stuff like that. You do go to bed smelling like it. Your fingertips. It's
Your
gross.
tiny fingertips.
My very tiny hobbit hands.
Little hands.
It is gross. And my husband is outside working on a shed. He does smell like sawdust, even after he's had a shower. It's like caked into his hands. But I'm not sniffing them. I don't want to sniff that.
These people don't even have toothbrushes. Their olfactory senses are very different than ours.
It's true.
But what I loved about it was that scene. They also got the, was it almond cream, almond oil?
Yeah, and she put it.
Right, and so that was another homage to one of those scenes in the books.
Her special perfume?
Her smell. That's the smell That's the smell he knows when she's ready to get it on.
That is her special perfume. Is also the.
It is.
Ah,
that's why yes.
That's right.
Okay,
yes. That's it. That's how he knows.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Well, you're young. You don't.
I'm not young, but I get it.
Everybody is pointing out that this is definitely on point with Diana and her writing. That the smells very much.
I think that
yes.
I think that the scene worked well. And in terms of a sex scene, it didn't feel gratuitous to me. No. It didn't feel awkward. I liked it. I liked the look that she gives him when he, has fallen asleep.
Yes.
I like that he fell asleep with his stockings on. I mean, there's just like a lot kind of going on. Barely just said it's not hot enough to take the shift off, but like, I like that. Like, I prefer that
she looks sweaty at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I prefer it not to be.
I did love this moment where, he's sniffing her and he says something. I forgot what he said exactly. And she swats him in the butt. Like, it was just a natural, like, shut up. Kind of like, but a playful swat. And it was very a natural, like it looked like they were a couple who was very comfortable with each other. They loved each other, kind of could, little playful swat on the tush.
Yeah. Alicia said it's the only sex scene that didn't make me cringe. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me when he says trust. I'd have to hold on if he was going down on her too. So it's fine.
I'm holding on to those jams, sister.
Yeah.
I don't care how cool it is out that window. I am.
Yeah. I'm digging into that lead paint pretty hard. Yeah. So it was a good scene. Sweet.
Mary Lou saying they said Kat did the SWAT ad lib, but that was not written in. Good job, Katrina Bell.
Well, you got to use your props that you have.
Right.
Sometimes your props are Sam Hewen's ass.
Sam Hewen's ass.
It's a nice one.
It's okay. So that's that scene. The microscope scene is actually my favorite scene of this episode. It's one of my favorite scenes of this book because there's just this adorable, when Jamie is just scandalized, his ignorance scandalizes him a little bit. My heart grows 3 sizes. It's my favorite thing when he's just like innocently a little shocked. And that's what he is when he sees his own sperm in this microscope. It's so cute. And then she's just like smug and indulgent with him. And I just love that combination. It's very fun. I wish they'd gotten a line about giving them a safe burial. I wish Sam had been a little bit more like, where did you get these? Kind of like, he just kind of looks at her and asks. And I wanted him to be more like accusatory. In the book, I think he like grabs his balls and he's like, where'd you get it? Like he's freaking out. So I wish he'd had like a little bit more of that kind of, then it was just kind of that moment didn't hit for me, but still So
I
cute.
thought, and once again, very, very effortless how they acted it back and forth, just going, and just her just sitting back in that chair and just
so
the
cute.
best part of the
Let
scene
it.
is he walks in with a cup of coffee, he puts it down, and she takes the coffee and
and drinks it.
You're like, bitch, that's my coffee.
Yeah.
And she's just like, not anymore. That to me was the favorite, like, we've been married for decades.
Right.
Of course I'm gonna let you drink my coffee, but I'm still bitter that you took my coffee, right?
Right.
Yeah. Lachey wants us to talk about Ulysses. Totally. We needed to have that conversation. This felt very weird. It felt like the only scene that I felt was shoehorned in because the timeline doesn't make sense. If it's whatever year it is, however long it's been, how long has he been in that hut?
Yeah.
Why would Ulysses go to the ridge to hide out? Like
hanging out.
If anybody was looking for him, they would probably look somewhere he might have known, which would have been that. He looks pristine. He's still in his coat and his cravat, and he shouldn't. So that whole scene just doesn't work for me. And it makes me wonder, like, why did they even bother with him killing Forbes other than to just have Forbes no longer be a problem? And there could have been some other way for, like, Jamie to have dealt with Forbes when they were in Wilmington last episode. The whole thing just feels very stupid.
The whole thing is stupid. The whole thing is stupid.
Yeah.
It was a very neat and tidy conclusion to a storyline that would, in real life, if that were to really happen, would not have had a neat and tidy conclusion. So, and then it's just Lord John going, Ulysses is my manservant, but the minute he steps foot on a British ship, he's going to be free. And it was like, we're done. There it is.
Right. And it's just it's a glaring red light that they don't deal with slavery on this show, that they don't deal with the realities of people of color on this show in any way. They don't even remotely try. And it's an absolute embarrassment. It's embarrassing to like this show.
It was a bad fantasy, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how in the world do we like a show that deals in time travel with modern people heading to the past when slavery is legal, and they meet slaves and they interact with slaves and they want them free, and yet they never, ever truly deal with it.
No.
And this felt so shoehorned, so pathetic, just a jaundiced tint of trying to make something work, and it just doesn't work. It just felt ill and just embarrassing. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else. I mean, it's not good enough. It's flat out not good enough. And I don't think that's not, that's the showrunner's fault. They choose to do things that require them to not have to deal with it when they could very easily make it a thing that they choose to deal with, and they choose not to. It's pathetic.
Well, I don't remember Jamie being particularly invested in Ulysses anyway. He was just like, Claire, this is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And also, I just wanted Claire to stop touching him. Right. I mean, I think they were trying to show the difference between the centuries, and she's a modern woman and she's empathetic and that she cares, but she literally could not keep her hands off Ulysses in that scene. And that just wouldn't have been proper then.
Right.
I didn't think about that.
You're right. It wouldn't have been. But that's the thing. It's just it's the fantasy, and it's predominantly written by, obviously, it's this is how white people, like, this is how we're going to fix this. Ulysses is just going to be fine, everybody. Don't worry about him. We got a storyline for you.
Yeah,
and it's like,
weird. Very shoehorned. I like the actor. He's quite good.
He was actually really great.
He's amazing.
He was really great in that scene.
Sad and hopeless, understanding that there were very, very limited options for him. He pulled out the article of manumission, which I think could have been another motive for murder, right? I mean, Forbes signed it. Now Forbes is dead.
Right.
That was kind of a weird little plot twist there, but the whole thing could have been avoided, and then you wouldn't have needed John, gushing over how smart Jamie is again later in the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, of course he did. Of course he figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad way to deal with Ulysses, and I don't know what happens to Ulysses in the book, but it's not a bad way to actually. It's just, I'm glad that they cut out that he and Jocasta are having a relationship. But that's the minimum amount of work that they had to do to make that palatable. It's very unfortunate. So we need to discuss the end.
Oh.
I really actually find I went today. I went and read the abduction scenes in About the Snow and Ashes, and I didn't realize how early it was in the book. And I mean, they're brutal. They're brutal, and it's obviously different circumstances, and there's different things going on, and all of that. I actually like the change of having Lionel Brown be the catalyst and for it to be menacing towards Claire for a purpose and a reason. Mm-hmm. A lot of times in Diana's books, the violence against women is purposeless. Is that right? Purpose doesn't have a purpose. And it just happens because of the time, and it just happens because men are men. And even in this section of the book, Claire even calls, she's like, they're just men, like there's no, there's not a monster element to it. They're just men being men. And I like the fact that this is orchestrated throughout the season from someone who has impetus against Claire, who doesn't like her, who isn't enamored with her, and then comes back to do this to her for a specific reason.
Right.
I like that they made that choice. And we'll see how it plays out. But
when he saw in the medical kit Rawlings, I literally went, oh no. It's like, to have that's the reaction you want to have. You want to have those reactions you want in this show. And that's exactly the reaction I had. And so from that point, I just went, oh, there was a knot in my stomach. It was a good knot. It was that sense of the intrigue and the suspense. So that end, and it was a very quick, shocking, violent. Somebody mentioned in the comments, I'm so sorry. I'll try to scroll up, when Marcelly hit that floor. Jeanette put, that was rough to watch. And
yeah, that felt like it was a real smack.
It was a real smack, and it was fast. It wasn't overly done. It wasn't silly. It wasn't throwing, a barrel at somebody already in the water. It was quick, fast, in, out, and they were done.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we didn't see the actual abduction of Claire being taken away. It was, with Jermaine saying they took Granny. The bad men took Granny. And I was like, oh.
My only real note on the ending is that I felt that there was a moment where we really should have seen Jamie's devastation. Yes. We should have been tight in on Jamie's face when he realizes she's not there, not after he's lit the cross. There's a big difference between Jamie's devastation of the realization that someone has taken his wife, and Jamie's decision had already been made to go berserker. You know what I mean? Like, those are different feelings.
Right.
And I think that Sam Heughan could easily do Jamie's devastated face, and we should have been tight in on that. He like runs in, sees Marcelly on the floor, Fergus goes, and then Jamie's out. And then you see him running to the hill. And I mean, we just missed that moment. They did not do that, and they did not do justice to that part.
That instinct, that just expression of hurt and pain and fear.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it would have been too much. They wanted to end on his face in the light of the cross, and so they wanted to do it that way. But like, I still think there's something missing. It felt like it wasn't enough. So there's a lot of talk about the next episode being stylized. That word has been used a couple of times, which is the same word that they used when they talked about the episode with Roger. So there have been some people questioning what the visual trick or the visual treat is in this next episode. Do you guys have any theories? We haven't discussed this, but I'd like to, I mean, does anybody in the chat have theories? I have one, but I don't think it's very good.
For once, actually, for the 10,000th time, I would prefer that they keep true to the source material. I said it before. I've said it several times this season of Hangoutlander that I think that arc is some of the best writing Diana has done in all of the books, period. I like it from Claire's point of view. I like sometimes when they're describing just what she can hear because her eyes are so swollen shut, right?
Right.
It's a great way to tell this story. I don't think that you need to see this story if the theory is true that it's from Jamie's point of view, because also the berserker moment, even when you're reading it, you've been hoping for it, you wishing for it, and then that cry, that savage cry, the Highlander battle cry comes through the dark. It's just like, yes, finally, yes. That's also from Claire's point of view. It's auditory. So I hope that theory isn't right.
Yeah, the theory that the whole episode is from Jamie's point of view coming back to her. It looks like it could be. I mean,
that's what it looked like to me. It was the search, but from Jamie's point of view.
Oh God, please no
which
singing.
sucks because number one, it looks like it's taking him a while to like get men to go after her, and I feel like that's not what would have happened. I mean, in the book, it's just Ian and Fergus and Roger and Archbug, and like those are the people that go. It's not a bunch of people,
right?
So the fact that he's like getting John Quincy Myers and all these people to like form up and get information feels like too long. I mean,
I haven't watched the preview, so I don't know. I literally turned off.
Right.
Well, a lot of Jamie. A lot of Jamie.
It even shows Ian putting, war paint on, and hasn't. I mean, time wise, he could be back, but like he's 2 weeks away at the Stones, and
there's only one shot of Claire, and she's cowering on the ground, crying.
No, there's another shot where you see two men pulling at her headed towards the ravine.
Okay.
So that's the only one that gives me pause that it could be from Jamie's point of view, because that's early, that's not something he would have seen. So I think that there's the possibility that we're getting it from Claire's point of view, but not like out of the camera's eyes, which wouldn't be that odd for something that they might do stylized, where like we're seeing what she's seeing and not we're watching Claire have all these things happen to her.
Right.
But I think would do a great disservice to Katrina Balfe's acting skills. So if it is something like that, I'm not going to be happy. The cowering that we see her do it's in the big house. You can tell by the opulence of the paneling. So that's after she's been rescued. But we do see her headed towards the river, and that just looks like a regular scene. Right. So I think there's going to, I think that there'll be some of it that's stylized. Obviously not all of it is.
Right.
And yeah, I don't have it. I mean, is anybody looking? Or anybody
a lot of people are saying the cowering looks like it's her PTSD, that she's back at the house after possibly being rescued, and she's reacting. Everybody is saying if it is one long voiceover, they'll scream.
We forget that we also have Bree and Roger and Jemmy to deal with in this episode.
I forgot who. I'm so sorry. Oh, Jeanette says there's a behind the scenes pic of a bloody Jamie, like he's been fighting, and Roger is standing next to him.
Well, remember, in the actual scene, Roger is a massive part of that arc.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Roger's like beating the drums, and he's the one, there's a lot going on.
And he kills a lot of people. Right. A lot of people.
Right. So there is that. But if that behind the scenes, why do we have that behind the scenes photo? Like, obviously they didn't go back. Like, they're still there.
So probably
so irritating.
Shock.
So irritating.
Work.
Thanks, Jeanette, for that little bit.
Thank you.
So silly though. They're wearing the kilt.
Right on, Lachey. Right on.
What she said, that's her favorite part. of that is the men freaking out when they hear the drums and Claire saying, no one can make a drum talk like that but Roger. That is a good part. I just read it a minute ago. Dee says she thinks that photo was from weeks ago.
Okay.
But what scene would it be from? Where Jamie
Right.
is bloody and Roger's standing there next to him. So I think, I don't know. It could be that there's no dialogue, no voiceover at all, that it's just a lot of action. I don't know.
Diana is saying she likes the finale. It got her stamp of approval.
Well, I mean, she's always kind of said that pre the finale. Dawn just said, Katrina said the season ends on a hopeful note. How? I'm going to guess because Bree and Roger are there, that Brianna is pregnant with Bandy. They're all together. That's it. I mean, obviously she gets rescued. They're not going to end it on kill them all and, not know whether or not she's going to live and all of that. They even it looks like they bring Lionel Brown back to the house because in the preview.
Oh yeah, they do drag him around for a while, don't they?
They do, yeah. And in the preview, you can Jamie covers somebody's face with a shroud or whatever, and it looks like Lionel Brown.
Well,
it would make sense for it to be Lionel because that's the one that they keep alive or whatever.
Right, and Mrs. Bug murders him.
Yeah,
in the house because he's dragging himself to the surgery, and she's like, "Oh no, you MFer! I am exacting my revenge," and she suffocates him. Right?
Yeah, I think so. So
forgot about that part.
Ruth just says maybe the announcement of Bree's pregnancy is the hopeful note. And then someone else said Marsley will kill Lionel instead of Mrs. Bug, which I really like.
Yes.
So does anyone know if it's an extended episode? I don't think it is. I don't get the screener until Wednesday.
So I could start watching earlier.
Yeah.
And not the first half of Hangoutlander.
And then Sarah just said maybe it's something like the ending of the 9th book with Bree and everyone coming up to the ridge. I haven't read the 9th book, but
it's a great paragraph. It's a great ending.
Well, who knows? It could just be anything. I'm excited about this finale. I'm not usually. Last year's finale was one of my least favorite episodes of all time. It was Man of Worth. Remember, the only good part about it was Ian.
Right.
And Jamie being really, really pissed at Roger. Those were the only two good parts of that episode. So I think this one will outdo that. But I really am not looking forward to it. I don't want to watch Claire have to go through what she goes through in the book. And I'm not really looking forward to the way that when they try to do cool stuff, how they tend to do cool stuff. So we'll see. Sarah just says, I think we'll get a big Marsley moment. Lauren Lyle said some of her best acting is in the finale in an IG Live. So
good. So underutilized. She's amazing.
Yeah. And Karen, you just said, I really want the scene at the creek after Claire's rescued. I do too.
I like this one that, Linda said, do you think they travel for 2 weeks and see Jamie and the rest on their way to save Claire?
Maybe.
Linda,
it's brilliant.
Totally something they would do.
That would be something they would do where they go, why is Da here? Where's Ma? Since Demi sees somebody he recognizes, there's Pappy over there or whatever he's called.
I wouldn't put it past him.
So there we go.
Brilliant.
They're great guesses. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, guys. Next week's going to be it for Hangoutlander this season. We'll be back with more stuff to talk about. And if you guys have joined us for this, you really don't want to miss out on next week. Yes, because we're so boring and tepid. But, did she call us tepid? I don't think she used that big of a word. But, guys, next week's going to be great. And then after next week is our very first Bridgerton book club. If you guys don't know about Bridgerton, it's a really great Regency romance novel series by Julia Quinn, and Shonda Rhimes is bringing it to Netflix this fall. And we're reading the first book that the first series is based on. We're reading it together now. And we're going to be talking about it on May the 18th at this same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So join us for Bridgerton Book Club the week after Hangoutlander. We expect to see all of you there. There will be good things to discuss. And we will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you for. Oh, we didn't pick a winner.
Yes, we have to pick a winner.
Wins.
Hold on.
Well,
I had to do a little randomization. Guys, don't leave yet. Oh, here we go. Stephanie Morris. Stephanie Morris, you're our winner tonight. Thank you for joining us. You're going to get, you just said you need coffee. LOL.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. You're going to get a coffee mug, a Ridge Shit coffee mug from Kara Watkins' Etsy store. So you guys go to KSW Designs Studios on Etsy, look at Kara's stuff, and Stephanie, email me at beth@thecooltable.com and send me your address and stuff, and we will get that to Kara for her to send you out a really, really great mug. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Goodbye.